Paleo-Indians inhabited Wisconsin around 10,000 BC. This is the Clovis people, remember that for later. They're among mastodons, mammoths, giant beavers, giant ground sloth, musk ox, bison, caribou, and stag moose. Stone tools have been found in Wisconsin from around 5000 BC. And other relics and findings have suggested the 10,000 BC time frame. Woodland Indians came around 700 BC. Woodland Indians are also loosely called the woodland culture in certain contexts. Woodland culture or woodland people. Woodland is usually a part of the designation. Native Americans or indigenous or aboriginal Americans, natives, because it's obvious. I took a trip recently to Aztalan, the Mississippi culture. The Mississippian cultures flourished during the woodland era. They're the first to make pottery, domesticate plants like corn, sunflower, squash, and that was centered around St. Louis, a place called Cahokia, and there's a giant mound there. Cahokia may have been the capital further south, while Aztalan was the capital of the more northern region too. So this same culture, but a little different, not quite the same. So there's some mystery around Aztalan. And location-wise, it's southeast of Madison, Wisconsin. It's around Jefferson Lake Mills. The first widely distributed record we have of this area was done by Nathaniel Heyer, who mapped it in the 1830s. And he named it Aztalan too. Because the story with the Aztec is that they came from a place from up north. There are these mounds, pyramid-like structures at Aztalan. We'll get into more of that. So he was thinking Aztec pyramids, not actually directly tied, different culture. So there are different migrations into North America and then into South America. But also there are different cultures at this time as well. The homes around these pyramids and the mounds were made of bark and clay. They were circular and rectangular. But then up on the top of the pyramidal structures, there were temples. Aztalan was abandoned mysteriously. This was around 1200 AD, but eventually artifacts were found, including a figure of a Mississippian deity. The Princess Mound is considered by many to be the most significant finding at Aztalan. It's called the Princess Mound because it was a young woman. She was buried with a lot of shells, some local, some from the coast, possibly signifying a significant trade network. Aztalan was not Aztec. It was not Azkaban. The people that descended from these mound builders are the Aniota, and eventually Menominee, Ho-Chunk, and Dakota. Aztalan Park is right on the Crayfish River, not crawfish, Crayfish River. And I found the biggest freshwater clam I've ever seen in there. I don't know about you. I have a fascination with freshwater clams because they're shiny. 5 inches by 7 inches. Natural. The pyramid-like platforms were reconstructed, and so were the wood barricades that were placed around. It's based on maps that were created by Nathaniel Heyer and then also others who created maps before it was destroyed for farming for the most part. Of course, he had the scourge of whitey looters too. It wasn't until 1922 when some Jefferson residents purchased the few remaining mounds that are there, and there were over 40 at one point. Now it's down to a few. especially since conducting this research, going around and seeing the mounds. I've started to think, could that be a mound over there? Others would make jokes about that. Look at that pile of dirt, could be an effigy mound. But remember, these are ancient structures, and many of them have actual remains in them. So please do keep your distance. Just be respectful. We need to preserve what's there, what we know, and then also if there are others that'll come forward and be open to looking further into what they might suspect be a burial mound on their property. I'm not a drone expert. I'm hoping to inspire some drone aviators out there to take up their aircraft and get a view from up above some of these. But I will say you do got to get pretty deep in the trenches, in the muck for some of these. So it's not going to work in every situation or really offer a valuable perspective. But some that are out in the fields, yeah, please do get out there, and I'll give you the addies, give you the parks. But you're going to have to go and actually physically find them. I'm not going to tell you exactly how to get to each of them, all right? So I went around to a few of the Madison ones that are remaining. Some of them mowed, some not. Signs telling you to go around on certain ones, not others. Kids playing on them. Not even necessarily any note that it's significant historically, maybe a sign on a rock or something. Getting eroded away. Classic American culture. This is the largest bird effigy mound in the world. Archaeologists recently uncovered a 1,200-year-old canoe in Lake Mendota a few months ago. Ho Chunk had villages spotted all over the Madison area lakes, so we're undoubtedly going to see a lot more major discoveries. Dates, numbers, exact locations vary between sources, and that's what happens with ancient history. But just remember that when you're listening to these big numbers, it's not exact, and of course, especially not carbon dating, but it is significantly accurate. So it's not like it's going to be a difference of 10,000 years or anything like that. In Chiquihuite Cave in Mexico, stone tools and animal remains have been found from 20,000 to 35,000 years ago. There's the heavily debated Monte Verde site in Chile, footprints in New Mexico from 20 to 25,000 years ago. Arrowheads have been found in Texas from around 16,000 to 20,000 years ago. Wisconsin had the record for the oldest evidence of human life in the Western Hemisphere for a while. But Oregon has confirmed that title now. They have evidence of 18,000-year-old life in a cave there. That validation's just been re-upped, so Wisconsin second place maybe, but all these others too. Bascom Hill, like the Capitol Hill and the Big Hill, are drumlins. Drumlins seem to be hot spots for effigy mounds and burial mounds. So again, I reiterate, I think that there's something that was once on the Big Hill or that is buried on the top of the Big Hill, and it should be further investigated. I don't know why it wouldn't have been used for a strategic defensive position, if nothing else. It's the only hill in that whole area. So I don't quite believe that there's nothing historically going on with the Big Hill. I also don't think Token Creek Park or the Conservancy has been fully investigated for existing extant burial mounds now. Definitely have to remember the significance of the Wisconsin Glacier, where we are, the different kind of habitat that was going on here. Remember what I said about the driftless zone in southwestern Wisconsin. So not everything that is a mound is going to be an effigy mound or a platform. Burial mounds were leveled to make Bascom Hill, which is like the center of the UW campus. And I'm not sure how much would be left under there, but ultimately, if UW wants to be progressive, they would move all of the buildings off of that land and give it to the Ho-Chunk. The Whitey genocidal terrorists that destroyed this significant cultural landmark and turned it into Bascom Hill took this spiritual center and turned it into a Whitey graveyard before it was UW. The first Whitey graveyard in the area, actually. Burial mounds are grave sites for human beings. There were once 10 to 30,000 burial mounds in Wisconsin, the center of effigy mound culture on planet Earth. Now it's down to just a few thousand. There are hopefully at least a few hundred left in the Madison area. Growing evidence suggests Americas may have been populated first over 20,000 years ago, so far before the Clovis people we were talking about earlier. They may have come in by an ice sheet, or the Bering Land Bridge could have been some other way. It's hard to tell right now because we're still figuring out how the Clovis people got here. There would have been multiple migrations for both the Clovis people and the migration that came before that. It's looking like a separate migration came into Wisconsin during the Clovis migration and the one that hugged the West Coast or went into the southwestern United States. They hugged the coast all the way to South America, or to at least like Central America, or they came straight from Australia with boats. The first settlers of the Americas could have been from the Polynesian islands. In 2015, the state government culture tried to remove more protections from burial mounds, encouraging private landowners that have them on their property to contest legitimacy of the mounds. And like 70+% of these mounds are on private property, so that has huge implications. The Supreme Court ruled against one of these cases in 2018, which will hopefully protect burial mounds, effigy mounds, and other ancient American structures for years to come. But the issue in these recent years has been more so they're trying to dig up the structures that may not have bodies in them. They need bodies now. They need more bodies. Unearthing graves and disturbing ancient relics and the bodies of people that have been put in the ground to rest. Classic American culture. They mined a hill covered in burial mounds for gravel to pave Madison's streets. These evildoers used human bones of the indigenous to help build the foundations of Madison. Defiling graves has never been acceptable in any culture, as far as I know. American colonialists are some of the worst people to ever exist on planet Earth. America's forefathers are frauds. Absolutely disgusting. Grow up. American exceptionalism is a stain on history. Fake integrity culture. I have fascination with ancient history, and it doesn't stop with Wisconsin. We have something special here, and I think because it is so close, it gets pushed to the side, or maybe it's not as significant, but it is. And this is one of those things that we, as a people, not me, but other not me people of this country, are going to realize the importance of eventually, and put more respect to these sites. Not looking for more fake intelligent, fake educated, fake cultured advice from people with PhDs and master's degrees and other bullshit. You're invalid. You're not relevant. This ain't a mound, but another part of recent history in Dejo. I'm gonna let your mind run wild a little bit with this one, but just don't get racist about it, because The mound builders are Native Americans, all right? But the Norwegians or the Icelandic or, the Greenlanders, the whole Eric the Red, Leif Erikson camp was inhabiting Lansu Meadows around the same time that this mound culture was existing in Wisconsin. The European mound culture was existing a little bit further to the east out on the coast. Not exactly the same, mounds nonetheless. The Scandinavians were building more of a longhouse style, and the natives more of a form of daub housing. Some other legends about the mound builders, that they may have come from a giant people. I admit I was fascinated with this rumor when I was writing the Coastie Privilege. It's the size of the burial mounds that was making people think that they're maybe larger, and there's no actual evidence. These people were 12, 13 feet tall or anything like that. And there's also no evidence suggesting that the people that build these structures were the lost tribes of Israel, some kind of Jewish thing. No. We've never had a Norwegian president or a Native American president. The locals of this land and the Europeans that discovered, quote unquote, this land have never represented the country as president. And obviously, I can't record this without laughing. We've never had a president from Wisconsin, no. The reason I visited so many sites in this video is because, first, I don't want people saying that there's only a couple left. I don't believe it. They're very tiny and hard to recognize. Not true. And then the other reason is I don't want people covering up that these exist now, pretending that they were never there. They just remove the sign, plow it over, and say, I don't know, where's the record? Prove it. They do this all the time. They being, trash human beings. Madison, yeah. Dajope is a way cooler name than Madison's busted ass. Gonna have to be changing Madison to Dajope soon here too. Get her done. Plan to speak with the Ho Chunk more and go down to Wisconsin Historical Society and see what they have too. And then the drones, I'm not going to take that on as far as the drone footy, but it'd be cool if we could get that together. So just some things for the future as well. See, where I'm from, we talk wild shit about America because it's a lie. And we know it. It's stupid to be like, God bless America, Pledge of Allegiance, Eagle, and like rock and roll. It's stupid. And then, there's going to be people that check out this video and are shocked by all this, mad. I would encourage you to think about, though, you crazy people, why you have supported America like a textbook nationalist. And why have you attacked me so much for teaching you about life? We should be preserving as many of these as possible, and if absolutely necessary, safely migrating these sites elsewhere. But short of manifest destiny, that's not a real need. And just 'cause I gotta throw a little Wisconsin folklore at you every time, if you want to do a little searching, scavenging, look into the Rock Lake Pyramids legend. I've had an incredible experience on this journey so far. Many blessings to the natives.